Hey folks, David Lennon. By the end of this session, you'll be able to categorize your clients into three main categories: A, B, and C. Now, why is this important? Because it'll help you more effectively plan and communicate more effectively to your team, especially your marketing team, your sales team, and your customer service team, on the type of clients that you're really aiming to get in the new year. Now, this is so simple and very effective. I use it with all my clients. Now, the A, B, and C stand for: A's are awesome. The A-type clients, they pay well. They usually don't quibble about price, query price, hassle on price. They love you. They love your service. They refer you. And they provide the type of work that you love, or the type of sales, whatever it is that you do. You just love dealing with A's. They're awesome. And often in businesses, you'll have, especially in manufacturing, there might be 2 or 3 A clients. I think that are the bigger, pay well. And they often take longer to win, though. Now, the B's are your bread and butter type clients. They just keep coming. They just keep buying. You could consider them your base clients. This is usually where probably anywhere from 50, 60, 70% of your work is coming from. The bread and butter. They're quite easy to win. They just keep coming in. They're important for cash flow. Quite good on, to deal with. Not too many dramas. B's, bread and butter. So we've got the A's, awesome. B's, bread and butter. And then the C's. This is the one. These guys are the complainers. They're also cheap. They're just after the best deal. And they're challenging. It's your C clients that can be taking up 80% of your time. Now, quite often when I'm working with a client and we lay this out and I talk to them about who are your A's, who are your B's, and who are your C's, the penny drops. They have a light bulb moment realizing that they've got too many C's. And needless to say, we want less C's. We want more A's and B's. So planning in the new year, get really clear on how many A's you want, how many B's you want. And if you're having tough times and not enjoying what you're doing and not getting the profits that you want, getting heaps of stress from customers, perhaps it's because you got too many C's. And these are the guys that you need to put a strategy in place to reduce or get rid of them. What's beautiful about this is you can now easily communicate this with the team, and you can talk about then, okay, well, they're a B, they're a C. Oh shit, we need to get rid of that C. We need to phase them out. We're not going for them. Get super clear on, for example, what does a C look like? Get super clear with your team what a C looks like. So everybody's well aware of, yep, that's a C-type client. This is a B-type client. This is what they tend to look like. And that, depending on your business, that can be the age, the demographic, the type of products and service that they're buying. And then, of course, get very clear on who are your A's. And what you do with this, once you got clear on that, is you can look at, okay, and you can say, okay, well, A's at the moment, I might have 10%. In the new year, 2019, I'm going to increase that to 20%, the A's to 20. B's, they might be at, say, around 60%, just an example. I'm just pulling some numbers out here. And we're going to increase the B's to 70. They're important for cash flow. C's, we're currently running 30% of our income is generated from C's. Now, note I'm saying income, not profit, because often C's do not give you profit. they're creating revenue and you got cash coming in the door, but that typically with a C doesn't mean you've actually got dollars in your hand at the end of it. Thank you for all the stress and challenges you've given me and resources and staff time you've taken up, Mr. C, but I've got very little dollars or any dollars left. And in some cases I've gone backwards. So I'm going to get my C's in the new year down to 10. You know, some of my clients try and get them to 0, which certainly is feasible, but you know, they always pop up. Sometimes you just can't avoid 1 or 2 C's in your life, in your business life, but don't stress about that. Just get them down to a healthy number and boost your B's and your A's. And a simple thing to do is, you know, and there's many variations depending on your business, but yeah, you can make a table, for example, and you know, you might have your A, your B's in this column, and then you might brainstorm with the team what each of those love, what each of those hate, and then you can have another column here on strategy. So this is key. Really think about what the A's love. What sort of service, what sort of features, what sort of payment plan, how do they like to be spoken to, how do they like to be greeted, how do you make them feel special, how do you add value for A's and B's, what do they hate? Maybe there's something you're doing right now that they're not liking, that's discouraging you from having more A's and B's. And if you've got good relationships with some A's and B's, the best thing to do is to actually ask an A and B what they really love about you and get them to be honest and say, look, you know, we're looking to improve in the new year. Is there anything that, and be frank with us, is there anything that you hate that we do? And if you've got a good relationship, they'll be honest. Or, you know, I'm using a strong word, hate. Might not be hate, but there might be something that's just really bugging them. You know, I've had, you know, sometimes it's just absolutely simple things like the labels or the payment plan or just the way they've got to do an extra step in dealing with you and they just wish it was gone. And what I also love though too is to be innovating and asking clients, if we could do anything, what would it be that you would absolutely love us to do? And encourage them to think outside the box and not assume what you're doing is the limit of what you do, because that is a real, excuse me, the trap we often fall into is asking customers what we can improve. Now, the downfall with that is that we have to be aware of, as business owners, is that our customers have a perception of what we can do. And often that is definitely not the limit. I mean, time and time again, I've seen it where the customers didn't even know the full suite of services or products offered by the company, let alone what improvements could be made. So if you're asking customers what you can do better, or what new service or new product could you add, encourage them to think outside the box and not be constrained by what they believe you can do. And, gee, excuse me. Sure. Some of the ideas they come up with are not going to be feasible, but I guarantee it, that's where you find some absolute gems that help you leapfrog the competition and get into some more uncontested market space, which, in my opinion, is where certainly where I like to be and like to get my clients. I hate competing on price. I hate having to write tenders. I like to be the only one they can get the service from. Anyway, so put a table together with your team. Think about what the A's, B's, love, hate. You've got your strategy. You want to increase them or decrease them, whatever the case might be. What's some strategies that you can implement to increase them, decrease them? And then let's not forget the good old C's. If you're going to decrease them, what's your strategy going to be? What are the C's loving? might be gimmicks, it might be cheap prices, whatever it is. And then what do they hate? So that, especially this column, this might give you ideas on what you can do to reduce the C's and either phase them out. Quite often it's a case of just increasing the pricing and telling them in the new year the pricing is going up to X, Y, Z. And I'm afraid that's the way it is. And they may drop off, and then sometimes they actually go, okay, because you've trained them. Don't forget, this is something else we do in business. We train our clients. We train them on the sort of service and pricing that we deliver. And if we haven't been really challenging the pricing or increasing the pricing, well, they just go along with it and they just assume that's the way it is, and they assume they can haggle. They get away with haggling every time they hassle you and complain and give you a sad story about your pricing, and you drop your price. You've trained them to do that. You've rewarded them. It's just like training your dog or your cat. You reward the behavior you want to increase. But often in business, we've got to be careful because we're rewarding behavior we don't want, especially with the C's. We don't want to be treated the way we are, but we keep putting up with it. Well, then we've got ourselves to blame. So be aware of how you're training your C's. Now get your staff thinking too. This is so good because it helps your staff start thinking about A and B type clients. And boy, the red flags will start popping up when they start dealing with a C client, and in the back of their mind they'll be going, damn, yep, this is a C. We're phasing these out. We need to, it'll change their approach. And then when they've got an A and B in front of them and they're dealing with an A and B, they're going to serve them that much better because they now know the goal, the vision. And a little bit on thinking about the clients that you want versus the clients you need. Now, again, planning for the new year, I encourage you to not just jump into clients that your gut feeling says you want. Why is that? Because what we want can be, and not in all cases, but I'm just raising this potential issue because I see it a lot. What we want is based on insufficient information. And by that, I mean we don't have sufficient information on our profit margins. I hope you can read this writing, but that says profit margins. So we may not know exactly the cost of providing a certain product or service. We may not be totally clear on the time involved, on the stress involved, the risk. So when we get clear on the profit margins we want and the time and the stress we want to spend in the business, and this comes down to getting super clear in the new year what your vision is in terms of professionally, personally, financially, then you get clearer on what you really need, the type of clients that you really need. So what I'll do with clients is, we first get clear on the vision. And that includes things like how many holidays they want to take. They want to buy a new house. Wanted to buy, one client wanted to buy a 20-acre holiday property to take the boys and camping and everything. So that was one of our main goals, and we got him that. So get clear on your vision, what you want, personally, professionally, financially. Then that helps you understand what you need in terms of dollars a month. And we're talking profit here, not revenue. Because remember, profit is for vanity, revenue is for vanity, profit is for sanity. We can have $2 million in turnover and just be making 100 grand a year. That's, in my opinion, unless I'm just not doing anything, that's not a great deal. It'd be better making 2 million a year and making 400,000 in profit, actual dollars in your hand. So when you get clear on what you need, this then translates into how many A's, B's and C's you need. Now, when you're changing these numbers, keep in mind cash flow. If you're going to cut some C's out, just be aware of your cash flow issue. If it is going to be issue, maybe it won't be. And be mindful of how many more B's you need and how many more A's you need to compensate. Especially, again, if you're going to decrease your B's, well, how many more A's do you need? And be realistic about how long it takes to get them. So that's where it's important to have your cash flow forecasting and have a strategy here on how you're going to phase in, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, whatever it might be, whatever sort of time frames work for you and your team, you're going to phase in your approach. So in some cases with clients, we start dropping C's that very week. We put a pricing change together. And one other thing on pricing changes too, and I've seen this happen many times, is this is a common scenario and you might be able to relate to it, but my client will be stressing about putting prices up because they're fearful that they're going to lose the B's, even the A's. They've become aware that C's they're probably not too fussed on. When pricing strategy increases put together properly, and what I mean by that is if you're increasing your prices, it's important to educate and communicate clearly on the benefits that they will receive as the customer. It's time and time again I see this where my client is stressing about putting up prices, but when we put whether it's a well-worded and thought out letter or other sort of correspondence or phone call or meeting explaining why the prices are going up and the extra benefits and value that they're going to get, often there isn't a complaint. And that whole saying of fear stands for false experiences appearing real. The fear turns out to be unfounded, because when you put up prices in the right way or in a better way, there isn't that drop off in customers that you anticipated. Okay, I think I've covered pretty much what I wanted to cover here. Now, as always, I'm here and I'll be back in the new year in January 7th and happy to work with you on this. 495 is a good starting point that we can work together and get clear. We can brainstorm and get you super clear on your A's and your B's and some strategies around them. And then we can work together on more than that as well, as needed. But I'm here if you need some more help on this and getting clear. It may seem simple, but it's gold. It's such a good strategy for you, help you with your planning, getting clear on your communication with you and your team, so you know exactly what you're going for, and then also getting clear for the universe and what you're expecting in your life and what you want to manifest and the opportunities you want to see. Because remember, we've got a brain that works in several different ways, and the beauty of science and research is sort of proving now how our brains are actually working. And our brains have to filter millions of input every minute, every second, from our nose, our sight, our hearing, our smell, our touch. Our brains have to be filters. Our brain has to filter information. Otherwise it would explode. It'd be like opening endless programs on your laptop. The thing would just bog down and die. And our brains are just computers. So when we appreciate that our brains filter information, what's important. So when we get clear on our A, B's and C's, our subconscious goes, okay, cool. I now got the category A, B and C. She's focusing on the A's and B's. I know what that is. What your brain then does really well is it delivers information and acknowledges information, and brings it to your attention that's relevant to this. What you've told your brain is important. It's like telling your computer, I'm interested in any transactions from the 5th of June to the 18th of March
whatever year and over $100 or between $100 and $1,000. The computer then finds that for you, and that's what your brain will do. You tell your brain that you're interested in A, B's, and this is the strategy. You'll then start noticing opportunities to deliver on that goal. Well, I made a nice scribbly mess there. I hope that's made some sense. I hope that's given you some clarity for planning in the new year. That's it from me. Have a great day. And as always, I'm here if you need any more clarification or any help on this. Have a great one, and I'm wishing you all the best for 2019. All right, take care, folks. Bye-bye.